Hi there, it's Dr. Jordan Alexander, and it's time to get real for authentic entrepreneurs. Last week we started talking about business planning, and this week we're talking about strategy. So those of you that are just joining us and missed yesterday or last week's session, we covered the elements about winning qualities of successful entrepreneurs by Professor Bygrave. So are you cut out to be an entrepreneur? We covered things like dreaming and being decisive, and things like doing and determination, being attention to details like with cash flow. And we also talked about destiny and dollars and distributing the wealth to others that help you on your entrepreneur journey. We covered why planning for entrepreneurs is different because it revolves around you so much, your skills, your energy, your money. So we talked a little bit about using a visualization exercise, and I sent through, for those of you that contacted me, an exercise that you could do to help with your planning. And we also looked at using mind movies to capture all your goals and your vision. It kind of mushes together vision boards, your conscious and unconscious mind, to allow people to actually make sure that every element of your planning is being put into action. So we've also looked at zapping and wrapping those elements. Okay, so today we're focusing on business strategy. So gathering intelligence to understand your operating environment is really important. Your competitors may have already done their research on you and are actually deciding how they can improve their businesses in relation to yours. Now, this is less about trying to, kill the competition, and more about trying to create a unique place in the market for you and your unique business. Some people try and focus too much on what other people are doing, and this isn't really about being strategic. It's just about learning the operating environment that you're working in. So if you use, for example, if you're in a jewelry store or you're creating jewelry, you're going to be quite different to the other people that are creating jewelry. But it's also important that you know what others are doing so that you can actually either complement or create a new niche so that the customers can find your unique business. So developing strategies is something that a lot of people tend not to do. A lot of people don't work on the business enough, and they work in the business, and they get caught up a lot with all of the things that you do with regard to having to make the product and sell the product. But today we'd like to just work on the business a little bit more. So I've done strategies for at an international level, trying to get aid from one country to another for education and support in education, like textbooks. At a national level, things like countrywide strategies for the health sector, for housing, including home ownership, provincial strategies for things like climate change and alternate transport, like bicycling. Using boxing as a way to improve youth development and achievement. And at the small and medium-sized areas, I've used strategies to help others find their unique position in the marketplace. So whether it's a paint company or a research company or a day spa or a traffic flagging business, it's really important to understand the landscape that you're operating in, the people who are involved, and where and how you fit in and how you can be successful. That's why it's so essential to consciously undertake this strategic thinking and planning phase so that you don't set off from the shore in your business boat without a map, a compass, or a crew to help you reach what would be an unknown destination if you're not actually doing all the strategic planning in advance. Strategic thinking is also one of the things that I've built my business around, because so many people find it difficult to actually look at this in in a strategic way. So I'm going to show you today how to go through an environmental scan, a strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats analysis, and look at your competitors in a way that allows you to position yourself effectively for your own business. So if we start with the MAP, or the environmental scan, or SWOT, it's important because you take a big picture perspective, and it allows you to take then calculated risks. You can be honest about your strengths and weaknesses, build and plan accordingly, and it allows you to always be looking out for opportunities. So if you think about not having a good idea about what's going on in your operating environment, in the post-COVID environment, for example, or where we're at right now, the New Zealand government, for example, has made some tax benefits for depreciation, for how you write off minor assets. They've changed it from 500 to 5,000. They've looked at research and development refunds for small business owners. If you don't know what's going on in the bigger picture, you could be losing out on some possible opportunities and certainly some threats. So how do you make sure that you understand and digest what's in your playing field? There also might be things like, how do you know where to invest? If you're trying to maximize the capital in your business, do you invest some in property if the property bubble might be bursting? Or do you look at other things like market shares and investments in a different way? So it's taking a bit of a step back and where you plug in your business niche in that wider environment. So let's just talk a little bit about how we actually do an environmental scan. How do you personally take control and stay on top of trends? Do you have great business networks? Do you have business partners or collaborators? How do you make sure that you are on top of technology? So if you think about when COVID first struck, did your business and did your thinking allow you to pivot quickly and incorporate things like Zoom into a more of an online presence? How do you maintain the engagement with your customers? When you're looking at the environment, are you also looking at things with an open mind? So if you think of Walt Disney, who said, Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there is imagination in the world. Do you have that kind of an open mind when you're thinking about what opportunities are there? Do you only see threats? How do you maintain the strengths and weaknesses that you personally have and that are unique to your industry group? How good are you at finding customer needs and niches? So they say the riches are in the niches. And so as an entrepreneur, you have to be ahead of the curve to be able to identify the trends that are coming and how might that impact on your business. Then you look at how you invest and challenge yourself. I'm a member of the International Coaching Federation as an example. And so that membership allows me to challenge myself. It allows me to get professional development. It allows me to look at collaborations with other coaches and work together. So being really deliberate about the kinds of relationships that you form, the associations that you have, it's all part of identifying what's in your environment that you can use. Once you've had a really good look at your environment, and this is the widest possible lens, you're looking at the international, the national, and the local marketplaces, then you get into a SWOT analysis. So this is your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the opportunities and threats are quite easy to define once you've taken a look at the environmental scan. So the strengths and weaknesses that we talked about last week in part 1, this is where you can identify and position yourself, your unique elements, and how you would respond to the opportunities and the threats in your industry group. You can add to these throughout the year. I like to do an environmental scan and a rescan every 6 months because things change quite quickly. Doesn't mean that you can't add and replan around your SWOT analysis when things change. So the map is that environmental scan and that strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So now we're in our boat. We need a little bit of a compass. So for the compass, I'd like us to focus on the competition and always being one step ahead and being real in terms of your unique offer. What is it that you're giving to people that they need and want? It's always important to sell first and then build. You might think that you've got this amazing idea for online dating education, but if nobody is interested in spending the time to take the education to heart, then you can spend a lot of time building a product that there will be no market for. So it allows you to also differentiate within the landscape when you understand where the competition sits. So how do we gather the intelligence? There's a couple of things that you need to do. First of all, you have to look at and identify your competitors. You can look at their websites and the customer experiences that they are offering to their clients. You can identify your market position, have a little peek at the pricing, and review their social media. Let's get a little bit closer into the intelligence gathering, how we might do that. So if you start by searching business names, product ideas, and your overarching business goals and ideas, what's already out there in the landscape? Take those competitors and put them into tiers. So categorize them according to primary competition. So if they have a similar product or service to yours, they're primary competitors. The second area might be a higher or a lower end version of your product or service. Think of Nespresso pods for coffee. Are you buying the higher end Nespresso version, or are you looking at some of the house blends that are on offer? Another example might be a Timex versus a Rolex. And where do you sit within that? So that tier 2 are the higher and the lower end versions of your product or service. The third thing is around looking at related possible up or downstream partners. So if you are selling jewelry again, using that example, perhaps there's somebody that sells gemstones that might be able to add to your value chain. For those primary tiers then, those ones that are direct competitors to your product or service, let's explore more fully their digital footprint. Go on their websites, look at what photos they're using, what product descriptions they're using, what call to actions and SEO profiles do they have, what does their site look like when you go on mobile, and also have a peek at the pricing with either Google or Amazon. Once you take a look at the primary tiers, and you might end up with maybe the top 3 or 5 competitors, we'll put that then into a bit of a competitor mousetrap. What I'd like you to do is just create a really simple table, one side of the columns. I want you to identify all of the ways that you might be competing together with these other primary competitors. It could be based on price. It could be that they offer an end-to-end service, whereas you are offering only part of that service. You might be differentiating by the years in the business. They might have a 20-year-old business. You might just be starting out. They might be different colors and a different range. So identify those areas where you can compete. And then I want you to take each of those primary tier competitors and consider where they fit on a scale of 1 to 10 across each of those dimensions. And if you have a bit of paper, you can plot those directly on that. So if they're at a 10 out of 10 rather than at a 0, give them a little X on price. They're the highest price. If they have a wider variety of services to what you have, you're constantly comparing back to where you fit compared to the industry group main competitors. When you have this competitors matrix completed, you'll be able to identify those areas where you most differentiate, where you have the opportunity to have a unique product and a unique offer, somewhere where you can have your own niche and carve out your own play space rather than competing with others in areas that you potentially can't compete on. So, for example, if you're new to the market and one of your main competitors has been around for 20 years, that you're not going to be able to compete with them on that dimension. So, be really deliberate and identify those areas where you that you have the strengths. So, it might be that you offer a mobile service that they don't offer, or it might be that you offer different timing. So, as a coach, you can do coaching in multiple time zones as opposed to just focusing on your local market. So there's lots of ways that you can uniquely position yourself, but you need to really have that competitors analysis beside you so that you can do that effectively. Right, so we've got the map, we've got the compass. Now, what about the crew? We know from our first part of the business planning series last week that having absolute clarity of purpose is so key in order for you to be successful in your business. So identifying your why and your beliefs and your faith in why your business and your entrepreneurial expertise is going to be great for a certain portion of the market share is really important, because you have to overcome the fear, the doubt, the self-esteem issues that so often in any new venture, they rear their ugly head. So you need to learn to be resilient, and having that clarity of purpose is really important. So here's where you can go back to your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats assessment, and plug back in those things that you need to ensure that you're going to be successful in that area. So we've covered quite a bit in the strategy side of things. So last week we ended up looking at your own qualities and making sure that you're cut out to be a successful entrepreneur. Today we covered a little bit more about business strategy, the environmental scan, and effectively your map and compass for where you fit within the competition and creating that niche compared to what others actually have as their unique propositions. We looked at how you can gather intelligence, looking at websites, being a customer experience on some of the competition, looking at your market position and taking a peek at pricing. We've then concluded by looking at you as part of the crew, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and how you need to maintain that why. And we've got some tools that you can use, like the mind movies, and using those things like visualization exercises. The last part in order for you to succeed is to make sure that you get the help that you need to fill your gaps. And this is where I'd like to make a special offer for the women entrepreneurs that are helping women entrepreneurs. So first of all, I've got free tips and tools that you can email me, jma@jordanalexander.me. I could send you the tools that we had from last week. I've also got an unlimited take flight coaching offer. Now this is normally $1997. It takes place over a year and you have unlimited access. So I would encourage, if you're looking for somebody to work with you as a business coach, this is a really cost-effective way, short, sharp bursts, it's unlimited. And especially for today, I'm going to throw in 3 extra breakthrough coaching sessions, which are normally $350 each. So you're getting an over $3,000 value. And just for the Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs, I'm going to offer that at 50% off. So just $14.97, and that's for the full year, and I'll be holding your hand through your business development for the whole year. So that's a $3,000 value for just $14.97, and that's got to be limited just to the first 5 people who sign up. And the other element that I'd like to offer is a strategic partnership. So working alongside you to develop your strategy. Normally with some of the big corporations and the organizations that I've worked with, it's a $10,000 package for small and medium businesses. I'd like to offer you a business bundle with developing your strategy for your business, doing the competitor analysis, working through your one-page strategy, and normally, I would normally charge $10,000 for that. I'm going to throw in the Take Flight coaching, which is another $2,000 offer, and the 3 breakthrough sessions. So that's over $13,000. Only for 5 businesses. Only for 5 businesses. I mean, you can figure it out. There's only 24 hours in a day, and this is quite a big time frame. So I'm going to offer that at less than half price. So only for the first 5 women helping women entrepreneurs, people to sign up. So a $13,000 value for the strategic partnership, just for $4,997, and that includes the unlimited Take Flight coaching for the year, 3 breakthrough sessions. When you experience those roadblocks, we work together to bust through those roadblocks, and you've got your own strategist working alongside you for the year. So I'll pop those in an email, and if you'd like to reach out and have a discussion about what might work for you, please drop me a line. It's jma@jordanalexander.me, or jump online. Next week, we're going to put strategy into action, and I'm really looking forward to that. So rewatch part 1, have a look at the strategy today, and for next week, we'll be converting the strategy into action. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm Dr. Jordan Alexander, helping you get real and be an authentic, enterprising entrepreneur. Let's all live a life we don't need a vacation from.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it. I like to move it, move it.